11일째 응급 환자 발생했습니다.
아직까지 남의 안은 열려 있다니까. 우리 그냥 이것들 살고 부산으로 갑시다. 바로.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to Movie Night in America. I'm going to try and be your host this evening, and we're going to talk about the 2016 epic Train to Busan, which is obviously a Korean film. Whether you watched it on the Spanish channel or you watched the dub version, it was a Korean film. But what I think is interesting is this was a big hit in Korea in 2016. So I went and looked up what were we watching over here in America, because it took a while for this to get here. And here's what we were watching. We were watching Avengers Civil War. So thank God there was another Marvel movie out there. Central Intelligence was big at the box office in July. Hey, look, I didn't spend all my money. I'm just letting you know what the tail of the tape was.
Andy spent all that money.
I watched it.
Independence Day Resurgence was big at the box office. The Secret Life of Pets and Zootopia. So those were some of the big movies we were watching while this was playing on theaters in Korea.
2016 was a rough year then.
It was a rough year. Now you did get the last. You got Star Trek Beyond, but it came out a little bit later that summer. So you got that. So the summer wasn't a total loss. Sorry to all you Marvel folks.
Sorry, but Sabrina, did Better Watch Out come out in 2016? Was that a 2016 movie?
It could have been it. I don't think it was
right.
a summer movie though.
I think so, but I only hold information in my head that matters.
None of it historical in
Thing is
nature.
all that matters.
We're about to take a vote on her, guys.
This is why I'm here. To make things interesting.
Okay, all right. Hey, look, I thought you had something going on with the director, but hey, whatever. You know, I mean, You're like Kate Capshaw in Temple of Doom. So Chris will get that joke. Nobody else will get that joke.
No, I love those movies.
2016.
All right, so 2016, back to Train to Busan. So I'll tell you, I don't know if you guys, just first impressions, did you like it? Yes or no? You don't have to give a huge dissertation, but did you like the movie?
Yes.
You know, no, you did like
it. All right.
Okay. It was okay. It was okay.
I liked it.
Okay. Good.
Enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Okay.
I figured it was going to be good anyway because I feel like you're a man of high caliber tastes. So I trusted your judgment and had a great time watching it.
I'm also a big fan
sir.
of all those Korean films. Snowpiercer, I think Platform, Parasite, Squid Games. Those are all great films.
Hey, you know, Sabrina, did you like it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't even know Adam watched all those Korean films until this happened, so it's kind of interesting.
It's. I mean, they've got their own channel on Pluto, so that's got to say a lot right there.
Yeah.
All
thought it was pretty
relationships
fun,
have
though.
to have their secrets, okay? So
No,
True.
he just stays up too late and watches a lot of TV without me.
you guys need your own space and stuff, your own hobbies. So don't get angry about that.
Definitely not. It was fun to learn something new.
And when I said Jefferson Davis, I said it with like an old Southern accent.
Okay.
He did.
Really got to drive it home, man.
And he did a
Drop it.
Steven Seagal accent too when he said Gunner's mate. He
Yeah.
did his best Steven Seagal.
All right.
So it was good, man. It was good stuff. So I do have notes. I'll be referring to them. You know, I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm the oldest one here. So our movie opens up and there's a truck being scrubbed down, right? And you're thinking, hey, what the hell is going on here? But this truck's being scrubbed down. You get a little banter between the scrubber and the driver, like, hey, it's a leak. Don't worry about it. These things happen all the time. It's South Korea, right? Come on. He takes off, hits an animal because he's not paying attention. He gets out and checks his vehicle, looks back, whatever, it's just a deer. And then, every Southern guy's dream, it's zombie deer, gets up, takes off running, right? So that's kind of letting you know, hey, this is what we're in for. This thing, it's going to affect everything. If it dies, it's coming back. So there's that. So now we move forward a little bit and we start meeting some of our main characters. I'm sorry, I can't do the names. I can't do it. So we're just going to say Dad. So Dad's in the office. He's eating his Whopper at his desk.
Yeah.
He's a dedicated company man, and that's what we're setting up here. So a little banter between them in there. And, like I said, it's a little bit cliched at that point, but let's face it, most of these things are. So move forward a little bit. Yeah. What do you got?
Everybody, that's how you throw away your lunch, right? You bring your trash bin up to your desk and then you.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. They're very neat people.
Yeah.
That's what they do, man. I mean, it's just science. I don't think they'd represent themselves in film any other way than the absolute truth. So yeah, that's exactly how you do it.
Mhm.
But hey, I don't know.
Cultural nuance involved in this film.
A little bit. But yeah, so we're setting up the absentee dad, and I think, and again, I told you we're going to get into the feels, and I'm sorry, but I think that's one of the things that kind of spoke to me because we've all done this thing where we've gone away from family and we've put family behind so that we could go do other things. So it was part of what spoke to me in this movie. So now we really set up the absentee dad because he's asking his Cato manservant, what a kid's like. Like he has no idea. He has a kid. He has no idea what to get his kid for her birthday. But hey, he gets her an awesome gift, right? He makes it home. He gets her an awesome gift. He gets her a brand new Wii, which is great, except for the fact that he had already gotten her one, and he had no idea that he had gotten her one. Which is another thing, because I've sat there on Christmas morning watching the kids open gifts and going, when did we get that? And had no idea what had been bought. But hey, it happens. So, but right before that, right? So we figure out he misses the school recital thing because grandma has recorded part of it and she stopped singing in the middle of it. And that's really kind of all we get from that. But she has a little breakdown. She wants to go to Busan. She wants to go see mom. She's tired of being there. So that's kind of, I guess, our MacGuffin. That's what gets us moving. So they've got to take a train to Busan. So next day they get out. They're on their way to the train station, and off in the distance we have a high-rise fire because she's playing with the window, right? There's ashes and all this and that and the other. High-rise fire, something ominous. It's looming on the horizon. And there you go. That's what we have. Then we start meeting some of our other little characters that are going along. I like the high school kids. I like the baseball team. I like the high school hot girl who says something to the effect of, if I like you, just say thanks and move on or something like that.
Yeah.
What did she say? Something along those lines.
I like that.
Are you gonna go through the whole movie and then come back and touch on stuff or
however you guys want to do it? I don't know, man. I mean, we can go through the whole thing, or we can come back and touch on stuff.
Because I have a bunch of questions at this point.
Yeah, what do you got? What's your questions?
Well, specifically with the high school introducing the baseball team and the girl, the cheerleader. I'm gonna call her the cheerleader.
Yeah.
The weird relationship between the cheerleader and that kid, like he was like embarrassed, but like what were they trying to portray there?
I mean, the only thing I could come up with was, it's baseball, but he's kind of the jock, I guess. And she's the hot teen queen, and he liked her, but he is a shy guy, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
I guess
the dubbed version, they did, when they spoke about her, it seemed like she was more like the slutty one or whatever. So they were kind of teasing him a little bit more. Then in the
Maybe.
subtitled version, they were just like, ooh, like young boys like picking on him because he was getting the attention.
And maybe
making it
that's the
harder.
thing. Maybe she was the slut and he was the virgin, and that was kind of the whole thing, you know? Like,
They were just trying to like, they were just boys picking on each other is how I saw that.
yeah, not that teens do anything like that ever, but yeah.
But I feel
Just
like
making it more uncomfortable.
I just felt
for
like
him.
at that age, like you're beyond the, you're well beyond the cootie stage, and you're into like you're into hooking up
But
stage.
he was clearly the shy one that doesn't like being put on the spot.
That's
Oh,
fine.
I guess, man. I guess. I don't
Well,
know.
not in
man.
Korea. In Korea, cooties is still very prevalent into your teen years, I would imagine, because they're
See, and so I never did any deployments that way. Is the schoolgirl thing really big over there? Like, I don't know. Is that a big thing over there?
The schoolgirl thing is big here because we don't have it.
just in Japan, they all wear those uniforms. Anytime I was in Japan, those kids, and you saw them leaving school, and they're all walking together, and they all had uniforms. Boys and girls have uniforms.
Okay.
I have been to Busan, Korea, as one of my port visits.
Oh, cool.
-5 degrees, and
Oh,
your nuts freeze to your jeans.
Oh,
Kind of cold, and
Wow, that sounds like Indiana. But
I've
I mean,
never heard
that's
that
cool.
before.
it's horrible. Not a good feeling. Kind of like the tongue on the flagpole type of situation.
Yeah.
But so the
Okay.
girl, if she's slutty, did she dress sluttier than the slut in Christine?
She was wearing her uniform.
Close.
I'd say that she was a close second. You know.
Yeah.
About as
I-
slutty as you're going to get in that particular setting. I
Her
would
shirt
guess.
was untucked. That's pretty slutty.
Oh my God.
School uniform.
and then
I did want.
I just want to make one more comment about the dad.
Yeah.
Is he seemed to care that he was a bad dad, and I just want to put that out there. Like he wasn't.
Well, and and like I was saying, I mean,
He's
you know,
just not good at being a dad, but he seemed to care that he was a bad dad.
And he also
And
just seemed to want to he wanted to avoid the ex-wife for sure.
and
I think it's because he's constantly blamed for everything. Although he works his ass off to create a great life for this ex-wife and these kids, yet he's blamed for everything falling apart.
Nothing
Which a
replaces
lot of us
the
Navy guys know about.
relationship. You got to work on the relationship too. Like
And-
it's not more or less important than the job.
And then this lady's drilling her daughter's head with this bullshit too. Your dad doesn't care about anyone. That's why we're not together. And I live here. You need to come see me. She's poisoning the kid's mind, and it leads to
This is
death.
going to be a hard one for me to sit through, isn't it?
I don't. So I'm gonna disagree a little bit there because we find out some things later about the relationship between the daughter and the dad.
Yeah.
But I think she makes a good point, and I think what are we, condition 1 and 3? I think you guys make a good point there. He does realize he's a bad dad, you know, but he's still putting all that other stuff in front because he's trying to, in his mind, give them what matters, which is the material things.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I think it speaks to me a little bit. But what do you got, Chris? Your hands up.
I'm sorry. At the beginning when they're scrubbing the truck, is that where the in the subtitled one? Did anybody else catch the guy said "tiny leak, my hairy ass"? Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was funny.
And I just thought, I was like, Asian men are not really hairy. They don't have much body hair, if any at all.
Maybe that's the Asian joke, making
Maybe
fun
it
of all the Americans. I don't
Just
know.
makes it funnier that way, maybe to them.
Jefferson Davis.
I tell you,
I really hate this.
the how many zombie flicks are there out there that that have
Too many.
like, zombie animals?
Yeah, that was cool.
Not a lot.
Not
Yeah,
a lot. Not that
I was
are
like
serious.
racking my brain and like thinking about it, and then I was like, I guess there was like a zombie lion or something or tiger in that movie with Big Dave Batista.
So
They were
there
the casino.
was
zombie movie? I can't
Not
remember
a
what it's
whole lot of
called.
serious ones, man. Unless you look at the joke ones, the
Yeah.
TNA movies like Zombievers.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Resident
not a whole
Evil,
lot.
maybe. They had
Yeah,
that
With
Resident
like the
Evil.
dogs.
The Hellhounds.
And then one of the
Blade 3.
one of the
Oh yeah.
was it Island of the Dead, or I think it was Island of the Dead, or one of the Dead
One of the
series.
other dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually wrote the deer down as an emotional response scene
Oh yeah.
because of that, because you don't see that.
Well, see,
Not
you're
there.
getting ahead
It
of
was a
yourself.
it was a
You're
very
jumping
whiskey,
ahead, Chris.
it was a
You're
whiskey
jumping
tango
way ahead.
foxtrot moment for me.
I know.
Oh, it's
you
not
don't
on my
know-
list. I'm not jumping ahead. I just wrote it down as saying, "Oh,
Oh,
this is
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So moving on. I'll speed it up a little bit here. I don't want to go through the whole thing. But so they're getting on the train. Like I said, this is our MacGuffin. We're the whole namesake of the movie, Train to Busan. And some girl sneaks onto the train and she's messed up. We don't know what's going on. We know what's going on because we know what kind of movie it is. And that's what kind of gets the ball rolling there, right?
the train rolling."
The train rolling. So you guys, I'm not sure. I called him Stocky Guy. I don't know what you called him, the beefy guy. So there's that one. Then I had his wife, which is the pregnant one. Then I had the
Oh,
older
Gilgamesh.
one. Sure.
He
that
plays
sounds
Gilgamesh in the
Eternals.
Eternals movie.
good.
It's Marvel. I'm very sorry.
And this is another one, because I thought he was kind of a jerk when they introduced the character, but
Yeah.
then I really liked him
Yeah.
as it moved on, so.
He
I
was
think
just
this is-
aggressively noble.
Well, yeah, right. He was. And that's what I think is really good about this movie, at least for me, is it manages to be really human while telling this fantastic story.
Yeah.
I mean, it in an hour and a half or whatever it is, you get what 18 million seasons of The Walking Dead, tried to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, so dad's still working, all this crap is happening on and dad is still working because he's worried about providing, right? So in the midst of all this, now we have a zombie on the train. And this is when we kind of start to find out that these are not the zombies from Night of the Living Dead that we all grew up with that are going to move slow and lumbering. And all you really have to do is walk and you're going to be okay. Oh no. They're very aggressive and they run and there is no just, hey, I'm just going to kind of meander away from you. So that's kind of the setup that we're getting, which is another thing that I liked about it. Now, granted, we saw that in some other movies. We've seen that in Return of the Living Dead with running zombies, but that was a comedy. And then we saw that in World War Z, and I'm sorry, but I really hated World War Z. I didn't like it. Didn't think it was all that great. I didn't read the book. Guilty, sorry. But movie-wise, I didn't like it. What do you got?
I thought the same thing right when I saw these zombies. I said, these motherfuckers are Olympic track stars now and they're parkour champions. I said, this
Well,
and I didn't like World War Z either because I was like, oh, the fucking expert who can help with this is also the hottest guy in the world.
yeah.
Great.
I didn't understand that either. He's some kind of a special forces UN guy that works for the Navy. I didn't get it. I don't.
Art and
I just
beautiful.
didn't like it.
Better unexplained. You first.
Anyway. So we're moving on.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, what do you got?
About these zombies? Sorry, I also like the fact, like, if they like fell fucked up and they like fucked up their arms stayed in that position, but they still kept going, which what I thought was pretty cool detail that they added.
It was a different take on what we've seen 1,000 times before.
They
And
just
like I said,
they just didn't like broken bones meant something in these zombies.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of little things like that you can watch and you're like, oh, this is not the same zombie movie because there's so many of them. There's so many of them.
The other thing
But
that
moving
made,
down.
oh,
No,
sorry.
what you got?
The other
No,
thing
no,
that made these zombies interesting to me was that people turned instantly.
Yeah.
Like normally there's like a small grace period. Even if it's only like 10 or 15 minutes, there's a small period where you've got like a moment to do something. But literally while the attendant was trying to help her, the
Yep.
injured girl, she was attacked. Like
For sure.
it
And
moves really, really fast.
what's interesting about that is it does move really fast, but getting a little further into the movie, some of the characters that we didn't want to see get turned, it took them a minute. And you ask yourself, is it because they're just that strong-willed and
Yeah.
they cared
But I
that
think
much?
that's a whole big metaphor. Like later
Sure,
on,
yeah.
we'll get to the end of that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
With
then-
Gilgamesh, with the whole
Go ahead.
Gilgamesh thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one was that was stolen from the Dawn of the Dead remake. Hey, I'm about to turn,
Honored. It
I'm
was
gonna-
honored from the Dawn of the Dead remake, probably.
I'm going to turn into a zombie. It's going to take about 20 minutes, or as long as it takes for me to hold them off for you guys to
Just a
escape.
little bite.
Oh, you think? Oh, yeah. So now you're talking about enough.
Maybe it
zombie
matters.
injection, zombie fluid didn't get into him. As
Okay, but
quickly?
listen, overall, these zombies were very like plot devicey, and they didn't like they changed so that they could move the plot ahead, and they didn't always do exactly what they'd done in previous scenes.
For sure. It's a virus and it
Like,
mutates.
The
and it
zombies
does
were
things.
just there to make the story move so they could tell about this dad and whatever. Sorry,
Yeah,
Rachel, it's yours.
No. And that's why I say, it's a fantastic setting for a human story. And that's what I really like about it.
You take the zombies out, the story itself is still. Obviously the story wouldn't exist because it wouldn't have anything driving these people together for any reason whatsoever. I guess you could say, the virus from Outbreak. It could be anything, but they chose zombies. Awesome. I'm a bit hung up, and if I'm getting too far in this, and you want to talk about this later, just tell me to stop, and we will.
No, go for it.
I spent a lot of this movie trying to figure out what would be like a death blow to one of these zombies. For example, this is what made me start thinking about it when I was watching the movie, was when they are showing like the cities being like overrun like instantly, because like we said, somebody bites, you get bitten, you've got about, I'm assuming movie cinema time, 2.5 minutes before your turn. If you're already dead, if you're just bitten and you're still walking around, eventually you're gonna a few minutes. But there's a scene where like a helicopter like flew too low or something, and there's zombies like dangling off of it, and the thing's trying to fly off or whatever, and a zombie falls off and lands like right in the middle of the street, and then gets up. So I was kind of like, is there a way to kill them?
I don't know, because they took a lot of shots to the head with baseball bats, and then as we're coming up to our first stop, once they realize something bad's happened,
right?
They've got the intel. Well, the army's there, so you're okay.
That's what I mean.
And
Like
we find out
this movie wasn't really about the zombies. Like
no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. And so that gets me to another part here when they pull into that train station. So Dad's got a little bit of intel. And that's what I like. He's still a flawed character because we've introduced the real asshole of the movie, the business guy, whoever he is, but then Dad, as they're walking through this train station, Dad's like, oh, no, we're going to go to the right here because I got some inside knowledge. They're heading into certain death. We're going to be okay on this side. And he even tells a little girl it's okay to be selfish. And so I think it's a pretty realistic take on, how you would handle something, because your first instinct is going to be to take care of you and those around you that mean something to you, and the rest of you, hey man, if you make it, it's okay. If not, we made it. And that's what I was trying to do. Yeah. But you were waving there, Sabrina. What do you got?
Yeah. Well, just before they get to the train station, they are talking to the two sisters, the two older sisters.
Yeah.
And she gives the little girl, Suan, gives her seat up to John Gill or something.
Yeah.
And her dad was like, you didn't have to do that. And
exactly.
Her reasoning was like, oh, but Granny's knees always hurt when she stands for too long. And I feel like that was setting up for the moment that you just mentioned about like, it's okay to be selfish every once in a while, but the way he was doing it, like when he told his daughter to not give up her seat for an elderly woman, I was like, well, that's a really weird advice to give to a kid.
Yeah,
But then that made more sense because he followed through on that logic
Right.
when he got to this train station.
with a much bigger, hey, it's okay
Yeah.
to be an asshole, you know?
Yeah. I mean, she still wanted to run off and help everybody, but he was like, in this setting, it really doesn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And that's why I say dad is still he's still pretty flawed. You know, I mean, not just because he's an absentee dad, but I mean, obviously he's got some notions going on, like giving up your seat is a bad idea. Like, really? Okay. man.
Priorities
I mean,
are a little bit shifted.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the dad is off, like selfish. If you're on a date with a girl and she didn't want fries and then starts eating yours, you got to tell her to stop. That's a good time to be selfish. This dude here, everything about him just seemed, they wanted us to hate him to lead us up, you know, through this movie, and we'll get to that in a minute. But they were saying they're building up our hate for this character, for this man, is what they were doing.
For sure, man. And so we're in the train station and things happen. Obviously, the army's not going to help. They've got the bum that is kind of attached himself to dad and the little girl. And then they get saved by the stocky guy, the Gilgamesh character, who then becomes, he's like one of my favorite characters in the thing. You know, like I didn't like him at first, and that's why all of a sudden, okay, this guy's okay. You know, and then they do the little weird things like his pregnant wife, and he's nicknamed the baby Sleepy because he can't figure out a name, and this and that and the other. So, which sets us up for some more gut wrenching a little later. So they make their way back. Businessman wants to leave everybody because he says, fuck it, I don't care. We're here, they're not. We're just going to make it happen. And it's a pretty good scene, I thought. You know, they're spilling out of the window and all that stuff, and they're running for the train. And then again, you know, stocky guy, he's running and he's picking up a riot shield and a baton at the same time and beating people down. I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude is like, he's like the fat John Wick. You know, like this guy is amazing.
Yeah.
So make it back to the train, but now we're kind of separated, you know, a little bit. And half the baseball team is wiped out at this point, which is pretty rough on the teenage kid. I'd hope it was anyway. So there we go. So our stocky guy saves the day. Now we are really, really getting a picture painted for Mr. Businessman. He gives zero fucks about anybody. He doesn't care. It's a war of attrition. He's like, if everybody dies, it is okay as long as I make it. So they're really driving this home. But they get on the train, and I think I thought it was a really awesome scene or set of scenes as they're working their way through the train cars. I was like, man, there's some pretty intense moments in there. And I thought it was also a pretty human moment when the baseball kid, they get to the one card and it's his whole team in there. And he's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. And they stop and they're like, you know, don't do nothing. We got it, you know? So I thought that was pretty huge. Because in a lot of these things, as soon as they turn, it's like, well, I can't do nothing for you. And we're shooting you in the head and that's all there is to it. So I thought that was another kind of a human moment there.
Yeah.
Trying to humanize this very inhuman thing.
And
But then we find out that going through the tunnels helps them out because they go into some kind of a we can't see trance, whatever. You know, their eyes are all cataracted over or something.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rex zombie virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a interesting spin on zombies to somewhat level the playing field. Like,
Yeah.
ultimately, if it's fast zombies, you're fucked.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
You
it
know,
did crack me up though, because at some point, as soon as the lights go on, the zombies instantly look at them.
Yeah.
Like
They knew they were there.
they
you
had
know?
their senses, all the other senses, and because they couldn't see, they couldn't use any of their other senses
Yeah.
either, except for noise sometimes.
Is it a dead zone?
It's just
Yeah.
really weird. It was
Because
weird to
then-
me.
I would start thinking, I was like, okay, well then here's, once we figure that out, our plan of attack is at night, we get whatever LRAD system or whatever it's going to take to start wiping them all out. Because my whole thing about zombie movies and why I hate them is why are you even trying to survive? Okay, so you survived. It says every fucking city around the world has been destroyed, and you're pretty much going to be the mind. Just because you survived and got to this one little place where it's a safe haven, how long do you think that's going to last? If the whole rest of the world is zombies, one that you can't kill, even you've been beating them with baseball bats and everything. I wonder if guns would help. But I was like, what is the purpose of surviving a zombie movie?
Next season, we should assign each other which role we would play on the movie we're watching, because Chris is for sure the COO.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure,
I
man.
think like it's very human to have hope, Chris. Like,
not in
you
a
give up
zombie movie. You've never been in a zombie movie, Sabrina. You've
have
never.
you ever been in a zombie movie, Chris?
Yeah, this one.
I don't know, man.
I
This
insert
movie is
all
myself.
desperate
in one day, and
situations.
you already gave up. It's one day. It's day one of the outbreak, and you're ready to quit.
You're
Yeah,
just like,
I mean,
screw it.
I'm
Surrender.
like, I'm just going to become one of them and just run around wildly.
Well,
and they
I
never got
enjoy
tired.
life.
The whole trip to Busan and back, but you're supposed to be back by lunchtime, and you're already
Yeah.
checked out, Chris.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're
hey, great. He gets back by lunchtime. He gets a Whopper. What is the purpose here? I'd rather just, okay, you got me. I'm going to be one of you. Because one, they seemed like they had all these superpowers and they could run fast and they never got tired, no matter what.
I'm just gonna go back
if
to
you think
it's
about it,
very human to have hope. And yeah.
if you think about it, now there's some science there. Why would they get tired? They're dead. They don't
Where
have
would that
to
have-
breathe. Come on. Why would they get tired?
You can crap in one hand and hope in the other, see which gets filled first.
It's worked out pretty well for me.
Korean gun laws, because I couldn't understand why nobody had a handgun on them in this entire situation.
Oh, you're not allowed to have handguns in Asia.
And in South Korea, even your hunting rifles have to be checked in at the local police station. So everybody is, I guess, it's only knives and bats. I don't know what the knives
Well,
on Korea are, but
I
nobody
did
pulled
have
one of
this
those out,
thought.
did they?
I did have this thought. I don't think if you live right next door to your mortal enemy, you would allow all your citizens to have guns all the time. But then I thought they need to build some sort of corridor and with the noise thing, trick the zombies to run into North Korea and then seal off their border. I think would have been a better way. The North Korea goes into Japan and Russia, and you're pretty much safe because now you have become an island essentially.
We don't really know what the military and the government was actually doing. So it could have been something like that, for all you know.
That was the plan.
I did have a little fun fact for you all, though, by the way.
What do you got?
The Gilgamesh character, he was actually the personal trainer of the dad character before this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
He was also the personal trainer for Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman.
Oh, there you go.
He's-
Yeah.
That's not
Once
true.
he takes the jacket off, you
No,
see
I
he's
looked into
pretty
it.
jacked. I mean, he was a pretty
He's
jacked dude.
he's thick, but he's very built and it's,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
I do need to point out that we did get, a kind of a getting ready sequence in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
They didn't have any weapons.
They're like
but they
taping up.
taped themselves up.
I approve. I approved of that.
So you got that. You got that in this
He had
movie.
a shield from somewhere.
He did have a riot shield. He did have a
Yeah.
riot shield.
This
But
is my
so-
Is that something that's used in baseball?
I
don't
mean,
know.
couldn't we have
Like
taped our hands a
police
little bit
officer.
maybe? This is my problem with zombie movies, and it goes back to the Dawn of the Dead remake where it shows them in their arming up sequence in that one where they're building all this shit and making the truck, this big fucking steel armor truck that's going to go through all the zombies, and yet not one of them thought to build maybe a suit for themselves. I mean, we got fucking bear suits, shark bite suits.
I'm kind
it's
of
like, why
enjoying
you
cynical
built this,
Chris.
you built this truck Because you made me watch a zombie movie, and they're all fucking dumb, and this obsession with zombies has got to stop at some point. this Walking Dead shit has to stop. And then talking about the Walking Dead after the show is over, and then the
Hey,
talking.
let's
Walking
get through
Dead.
this. Let's
I
get
just want to
through this,
know
and
It's not
then-
about the zombies.
why didn't they put
Chris?
tape around their hands as well?
Because then you couldn't use your hands.
You can,
You have to
Like
be able
a-
to.
You have to still use it. You lose dexterity.
like a
once you
key
tape up
grip
your hand.
holding a boom mic with his fingerless gloves, basically.
They got to move those tiny locks on those doors at each one of them, and there's
Yeah.
2 to a passageway.
Come on, soccer. You got no opposable thumbs here. They can't be doing all that. Jesus Christ, dude.
How are you gonna hold a bat and swing it?
Kung
Well,
Fu
the
grip,
bat,
man.
we saw the bat did nothing.
I mean,
So that's true. That is true. They were
But him-
beating the shit out of these things, and
Getting
no
bit in the
effect.
hand did do something.
It did.
parkour.
All right. Okay. So here we go. So really good scenes. I thought you got your thing. They're moving forward. Business guy is still being a prick. He's still being a prick. I mean, quite obviously they're talking. We know they're okay because they're talking and they're not just doing the zombie thing. He still says, nope, don't let him in. Ain't happening. And what I thought was amazing is everybody's listening to this guy. The only one who stands up is the little teenage girl. Everybody else is like, oh yeah, this is our leader. This is the guy. I mean, we voted him in. You know, we're stuck with him. So whatever decision he makes, we got to run with it.
Yeah, there was like a 10-second moment there where like it looked like there were like enough people were gonna kind of outvote him.
Yep.
And then it kind of disappeared just as fast because
Well, because then
Asian.
they just grabbed the girl to shut her up. They're like,
Yeah,
no, he
yeah.
knows what he's talking about, you know?
yeah,
That man knows how to get to the
respect for
top
your
and stay there.
elders and stuff in that
Exactly.
culture. So
Nobody screws their way to the bottom, and this guy's no exception. So he's got it going on. So
Joe's face was perfect for that. Can we
Great.
I wanted to point out backwards for like 2 seconds that the pregnant lady, the little girl, the younger of the older sisters, and the homeless guy all fit into a public transportation bathroom.
they're small. They're not big like me and
That was
Joe.
something that I thought of when I saw this. I was like, how do they fit in there? Or
they're small people. They're
Also-
small people.
Those two old ladies were like legit 30 years old, right?
Yeah, I was
They
like,
were.
the younger one was definitely like a 25-year-old girl, like dressed up like
They
an
were.
old lady. The other one was she might have been like 40.
Yeah, about that scene,
Yep.
like COO/business guy, ultimately, outside of the zombies, he is the bad guy of the movie.
For sure.
And he makes the executive decision not to open that door. And, you bring up, well, nobody challenged him or whatever, it's easy to sit back on a couch and judge the actions of a guy doing that or doing like what the dad has done, in the train station, all these. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback that. I guess you'd like to really, really think that the majority of the population would open the door, but I think you are sadly mistaken. And the reason I say, you're talking about you have literally looked out the window of this train and seen shit that you'd never think you would ever see ever. Period. And now all of a sudden, it's in the train as well. I know that the 10 people that I'm with in this room or in this car have not been bitten by one of these things. I don't know. This has only been going on for 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, or however long they've been on this train, that this outbreak has really kicked off. So you don't know the time it needs to blossom into full-on zombie. You don't know, and plus I'm sure these people now have seen zombie movies that have been on this train, have been like, every time there's always one person that's like scratched and never says anything, and then ends up turning like some dude's like main character's mom and he has to kill her. So I totally I don't blame the dude for being like, absolutely not. And I really don't blame anybody else in there for not speaking up, because even if you are the most pious person on the planet, I bet there's that little piece in the back of your mind that's just like, I don't know. And I really don't want to die. And I don't really know these people. I care about them as much as I care about somebody that's 4 aisles away in a Walmart.
Looks
You know
like
what I'm saying? You just think that I mean, while we're talking about being human and everything else and having compassion, all that stuff, I mean, when you're in a situation that's with a bunch of strangers and I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's a douchebag, he's a dickhead guy, and that's the character they build up. But the whole time, like, I know I'm supposed to hate this guy, but I'm like, dude, you don't know.
And
But-
you're right. No, you're right, man. Because up until this point, I mean, he has not, by his own hand, necessarily, pushed anybody down a flight of stairs. But he's just an outspoken prick.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not here to argue him being an asshole or anything like
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
But I am going to play devil's advocate with that and let y'all chew on that for a moment. That I mean,
No.
in a crazy ass situation, I mean, be it zombies or be it, I don't know, what famine where you're trying to feed your family, where somehow all the grain in all of the world is gone, and now we're like, trying to survive on canned goods, and you gotta, kill somebody in a grocery store for the last can of dog food.
But no, and you make a good point. You make a good point, and that's why I say, there's parts of this movie that I just scratch my head about, but then there's other parts that I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can totally see people reacting in that manner. Because, like I said, our dad, the hero, so to speak, he was a douchebag at first, and he was going to leave them all to die, because I've got my out. But then he finds his humanity, and he goes back while they're going through this, train ride of hell, and tries to save the bum, because he falls down. He goes back for him. Guy, he has no idea who this guy is. I don't think at that point the guy's really talked to him other than, hey, I'm going with you. But he found his humanity, and I mean, I think that's part of the story was Dad finding his humanity.
Everybody's being very, very, very human.
Yeah,
Even in
for
the
sure.
car. Even the people without speaking parts in the car that are just like, well, I wouldn't open that fucking door either.
For sure.
I don't want to be the one that says it, but we'll just let this guy talk for us so that we all can kind of wash our hands of what we kind of know is not exactly the right thing to do in this situation. But I didn't say.
I feel like Joe has taken my spot as the COO in the movie already, and he's making the argument that I made earlier. And if he does survive, like he said, there's no fucking grocery stores to eat at. What are you going to do?
Well,
maybe the dad saved the homeless guy because
I've
he's going to need a
actually-
janitor at his business.
After being on this planet for as long as I have and seeing all these movies and having read books and, listen to things like that, the zombie apocalypse stuff, I'm pretty certain that I'm not going to be around long enough to be in the survival situation. I mean, yeah, I live in the suburbs, but nah, I'll be the first wave will get me. I mean, it'll get most of us, so.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah, there's no reason to survive. I mean,
I
think
stuck on
I've
a highway
watched,
somewhere.
I think I've watched like 3 episodes of The Walking Dead, and it doesn't seem like the survivors are really enjoying life, although they're not zombies. They're walking through wasteland. Or we could talk about Zombieland and what that was like. What do you know?
Oh, Chris, stop with the zombie bashing, okay?
All right. Okay. All right.
These are all comparisons to what my point is.
Can I just say I completely agree with Joe that people react in like selfishly obnoxious ways, the majority of human beings, when they're put in high pressure situations of any kind. And it made me think of this time in high school where we had an Al Qaeda bomb threat on my tiny little town in the middle of upstate New York of like 65 people, right? Like, I didn't take it seriously for a minute because I was like, why the fuck would anybody be concerned about bombing our school? But the amount of kids and teachers that I saw break down within like 10 minutes of hearing that news out in the parking lot while we waited for a fire department come and all that kind of stuff, like, it taught me so much about human nature in about 15 minutes. Like, like most of the world cannot handle any of these kinds of situations.
No, they can't.
It doesn't make the majority of the population bad.
No,
or
they're not
anything like
bad
that.
people.
It's just that
That's just the way they
you know, I just-
process.
yeah, when you're in I'm not a psychologist or anything. I move freight. But imagine when you're in a high pressure situation or something. Some the fight flight or just survival mode kicks in. It's like F everybody else. I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, like
You know?
75% of people just give up.
I mean, well, probably that too.
Well, I mean, it's happening to 50% of the room. They've already said they said fuck it. I'm not gonna make it. So fuck it.
Not against them.
Something
Fucking,
like that.
I could make it in the old zombie movies, but these parkour champions, no.
Oh, I'm in it. I got life skills that will totally help me. In a
I
zombie
am,
apocalypse.
I am not going to be able to escape these guys who can run that fast. Not escape. Nobody's in that
But-
kind of shit to keep running.
Where were we in the movie?
Well, so bringing it back, I just want to get to, I just want to get to. I thought it was a gut wrenching scene. They're trying to break down the door to get in. Stocky guy is put himself between the survivors and the horde, and he gets bit, and he's essentially sacrificed himself for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just take
Knows he
care
can't
of.
survive.
Yeah, take care of my wife and unborn child.
Yeah.
And then in a last little heart-tugging moment, he names the kid, right before, And this goes back to how quickly you turn. He fought it, he fought it. So I don't know if it was, it's like Swamp Thing, and it makes you more of what you are, at least for a few minutes. But he fought it, and he fought the good fight, and they made it through. So they make it through, and then, businessman, once again, he's like, nope. And he's the king of dis and misinformation. So they quarantine the survivors, And it's at this point that the Golden Girl gets all upset about her sister Golden Girl not making it, basically blames her for not making it, opens the damn door, and they eradicate that car. So there we are, so yes, ma'am.
So I saw that moment as she was upset that her sister lived such a good life and she tried to do her best by people. And she looked over at this horde of human beings that are all fighting over stupid nonsense. And she was like, these people are not worth saving. That woman in there was worth saving. And she was like, fuck this. And was like, you can have them. They don't deserve the world.
That's a good take. I didn't even think about it like that, but that's a good take on it.
Mhm.
You should watch movies with me.
Also, as a viewer,
She had no hope.
as a viewer, that was a satisfying death scene. Like, I'm glad all those people got it.
Well, and so they set you up a little bit because,
Yeah.
I know when I watched it the first time, I was like, yes, the COO is gone. He deserved it. Now we can move on, and here we go. So they set us up. Good job. You got me. So now we're pulling into a train station because, there's problems, So we have to disembark. It's what we have to do.
The track is blocked.
The track is blocked. Thank you. Which, haven't said a whole lot about the train engineer guy.
Playing
But
the
hey,
number 2 favorite character in the movie.
Yeah,
My
he's like a
absolute
champ,
favorite
man.
character.
He's a champ. He's worried about the people. He's working this train all on his own, and then
Beautifully
so
served.
he makes a stop. He uses the freaking PA system. I'm like, well, this is brilliant. So now everybody knows, and then he's at least giving them a fighting chance. So this is the point where at least 2 of the members here would say, fuck it, I'm done anyway. Everybody else is going to get off and go looking for another train. So that's where we're at, and that's what happens.
Where did that get them, though?
Well, so
Up, Chris.
Yeah.
No,
Not very far.
that's good. No, that's a good point. Where did that get them?
All
In the
of
middle of all this, I forgot to mention, and it's just a little bit of a plot device. that doesn't serve a whole big purpose, if you ask me. But we find out that the dad, this investment guy, he's a bloodsucker, according to everybody else. And their big major investment that they've done is this biotech thing, and that's where this whole thing came from. So in a way, you know, the decisions that he made, putting his family last and making all this money, has kind of facilitated this in a way, I guess, is one way to look at that. But so, you know, just one more, hey, you were a douche and you didn't even know you were a douche, kind of nail in his coffin.
Yeah.
So he's in there trying to wash the blood off his hands, and I'm sure there's some symbolism there at some point, if you get into all that Shakespearean shit. But so anyway, so we're moving forward, and so we're coming towards the end of this thing here. We're down to dad, daughter, the bum, the train engineer, the baseball kid, and the hot chick, and the pregnant lady. That's who basically who we're left with here. And this was one of the more senseless. I'll just go ahead and say it. It served a purpose because business guy, we find out he's alive, and he immediately sacrifices somebody. So I forgot about the porter or the train guy. He immediately sacrifices because he was just cannon fodder anyway. But he pushes, you know, somebody out of the way, which winds up getting the teen queen bit. And this one was the more senseless one, you know. So our baseball hero, he gets bit just because he's got her in his arms. And I was like, that one's a little, I get it. We got to wipe the slate clean, but that one I could have done without. What do you got, Mr. Adam?
So yeah, speaking of Shakespearean, that was totally like Romeo and Juliet style. But it was at this point where I started realizing, like,
so smart, it's cute.
I started making rules, like Zombieland type rules. Like they could have used some of those rules, and also like two of the rules right off the back for this movie was like never hesitate, because once you hesitate, you're dead, and always close doors behind you. That's like,
yeah, for sure. It did serve another purpose, I guess, because we've already gotten it to a point, and they're basically letting us know nobody is safe. Anybody can die. You know, it doesn't matter. Yes, we're getting towards the end of the run here. I mean, literally the end of the tracks. They're looking for another train, but anybody can die. So I guess there is that part of the plot. So they're both gone. A flaming train comes in, and now we've pinned the rest of everybody else. Our engineer friend has gotten another train. So your second favorite character, he's done his due diligence. He's got another train, gotten it underway. Off we go, which I thought was another tense moment. You know, they're pinned under this thing, and you know the zombies are right above them. I'm like, oh, here we go again. We've just cool proven scene. Anybody can die. And you know, Dad, he does your thing. He doesn't hesitate. Sees a hole, goes through it. Bam, hole gets closed up. So there you go. But then the bum, he rushes in there and once again puts himself in between danger and the children. So because one thing is you can't let children get hurt in movies. That's the thing. Children are okay. You know they're going to make it. So he sacrifices himself. Dad frees whatever it was that was in the way. They get out, which sets us up for our climax, I guess you'd say. Businessman's running for the train. He trips or twists his ankle or whatever it is. And then your second favorite character, he could have let him go, but he's like, nah, man. I mean, I've made it this far. I'm going to see you through to the end. And this is how stupid Businessman is. He doesn't know how to work a fucking train. You know that. What does he do? He sacrifices the engineer because he's a moron. You know, that's like, hey, there's a running helicopter. I'm going to kill the pilot. I don't know how to fly a fucking helicopter, man. I'm not going to do that.
Train is much more straightforward, though.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, once we get to that point, the controls were in English, so I guess it was okay, even though they're in South Korea. So anyway, now this was a pretty neat thing, man. You know, they're running towards this train here, and they're trying to outrun the zombie horde. They make it, and you're like, oh, they're good. Everything's okay. And then these damn zombies start making a zombie like gangplank and working their way up the train. And I was like, holy shit, man, this is pretty amazing.
It was a sled.
It was
Yeah.
a pretty neat deal, you know. And then
It did make me think of that scene in World War Z where they all like topple on top of each other to get up this wall.
get over the wall thing. Yeah,
They
Yeah.
did
So
it way
there-
better in this movie though.
I think so, because like I said, I mean, I can't say it enough. World War Z really sucks. So I think this was a better take on that.
I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, and I only made it like halfway through the book, so
I didn't even try the book. So I guess that's terrible of me.
it
But
was not good either one.
well, I know it's a shock to this audience that I don't read a lot, but it's true. But anyway, so now we're on the train. We just assume, you know, well, I don't know. I don't have any assumptions at this point because I didn't realize that business guy had gotten nicked, but he had. So at what point did he get nicked? I don't know. So, you know, that sets us up for this thing. And it takes him a while to turn, you know. Everybody that goes like that, this guy who's a total prick, it takes him a while to turn. And at that point, it's interesting, I think, as basically he's dying and turning into a zombie, he finds his humanity, you know, and he's begging for help. You know, I got to get to my mom or whatever it is, and trying to give his address and all this and that and the other. But so I think at this point it was telegraphed somewhat that Dad is not going to make it. So as you know, everybody here watched the movie. Obviously, Dad does not make it. He sacrifices himself in a last-ditch effort to save everybody. Well, save the kid and save the unborn and the pregnant mom. But I thought that was kind of a tough scene, though. You know, because we get to that point. You know, he's fighting it off, and he's got to say goodbye to his daughter. He's got to say goodbye. So she has this heartbreaking moment where she talks about her recital and how she didn't finish the song because she didn't see him. And you know, she's never going to see him again. Like, this is it. And it to me, it was heart-wrenching. It really was. So he goes off, and as he's fading into oblivion, he sees her born, you know, so he kind of fades away in a good way. So at this point, they stop. They make it to Busan. We assume they make it to
Wait,
Busan.
Herschel.
Yeah, what do you got?
You're right. That was it was what I like about the movie. It was the great scene. And the little girl's confessing, this is all my fault because I want to go to Busan. And I was just hoping the dad would have just went, yeah, it is. Fuck. And the whole scene when he's thinking his life is flashing before his eyes and he sees his little girl born and all that. And we're like, it wants like the audience to believe that when he falls off of this train, he's dying. But no, he's just one of those fucking zombies. He's going to hit the ground. He's going to pop up. He's going to go chase him and bite him.
It was a
I
beautiful
wrote it
moment.
here.
Let them have the beautiful moment.
I did. I'm talking about the reality of the movie, though. What actually happened in the movie.
Reality.
I know it's about zombies. This is not real. I understand that. None of this shit's going to happen. But I did write down as a note,
Okay.
oh, the noble ones who sacrifice themselves to save others by becoming zombies. What happens is they save all these people. They become zombies. What happens? They go out and they go kill people. So they were noble for a moment. They did have humanity, but now it's gone.
But as a zombie, you've lost all that. So, you know, I can't really blame them for it, you know.
But I did write great ending when the dad zombie remembers the day his kid was born. Then he
It was
falls
good.
off the train as if he killed himself.
But here's the
We're
thing
getting
about
to the
that.
point. We're getting to the point where they missed a great opportunity for a great ending.
And so that, I'm telling you, when I watched this the first time, I watched it with Patrice and the twins, and I was actually, as they're in that tunnel, I said, Jesus fucking Christ, they're gonna freaking Night of the Living Dead this, and they're gonna have these two get shot because everybody else has died. They've already said, well, I can't see it, and they got the kill order. I was like, great, fucking great. So that's the movie. Everybody's gonna die. It's ridiculous. I fucking hate this movie.
I was waiting for it.
I was
I was
hoping.
so
And-
waiting for it.
But we get this actually beautiful moment, and she starts singing. Like she's found her voice, and she's kind of realized, hey, I'm not going to see my dad again, but I'm going to sing to him, and it ultimately it saves their lives. But I'm going to tell you, I really thought for about 10 seconds there, I was like, well, there it is. That's curtain. They're done. It's over. And I don't ever want to see this movie ever again. But they make it, and so.
But hope. There's all like that's one of like quintessential human things is to hope, and
absolutely,
like that's a beautiful thing.
Speaking of hope,
I did have a theory about like what the zombies go through when they're about to die, and why like some people manage to keep it away or stave it off for longer than others. And at first I thought it was like love or hate or self-interest, but then I think it ultimately comes down to passion. Like the more passionate of a human being they are, the longer they were able to stave off the illness from taking over them, because even the bad guy, the COO, who's like a total asshole, manages to keep it away for like almost like longer than anybody else, presumably.
Yeah.
Because he's so damn passionate, and everyone that manages to get a moment of clarity before they die speaks of something that they care about deeply. They say some sort of weird truth, because all the way back in the beginning, the granny, when she's talking to the dad over the phone, admits that she thinks that the little girl's mom is a bitch. Like Granny's not saying that in real life, like not in her, she's got some self-control, but she's like really passionate about the fact that she knows that her son cares, and she knows that she loves her daughter, her granddaughter, and she still manages to like keep all that in and like nudge a lot, be very passive aggressive in the way she talks to her son and her daughter or whatever. And until the virus gets her and she's about to turn, she is mostly concerned with them making amends and him knowing that she really hates his ex-wife for creating this separation between them. Like she blames her. And that's what happens with all the characters when they change. Like the only thing that Gilgamesh cares about is he's like, my wife and my unborn child, and I'm going to name that kid before I die. Like, and then dad thinks about like, I have done the right thing as much as I could by my daughter. And even the COO, like you find out that as much as he's concerned for himself, he is hella concerned for his mom.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to get back to his mom. He doesn't actually, he's not actually as conceited as we think he is.
It's an interesting take that they all had these kind of noble motivations.
Not even noble, just basic instinctual, like, what are you going to think about when you're going to die? If you got 5 seconds to live.
No, and so noble maybe is the wrong choice of words, but they all have these motivations beyond themselves. It's just how they got there was very different for all of them.
They have very human, real emotions and feelings, and everybody has a motivation that is like, that makes, I mean, for at least for me, it makes me sympathetic.
For sure. And that's why, that's why the homework was a tie-in to the motivational thing, because I thought there was a lot more. Obviously Chris didn't, but I thought there was a lot more going on in this movie than just the zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
It was very much about being human and and being in touch with the emotions.
I'm in touch with emotions. It seems like that Sabrina now agrees that the granny says the woman was the cause of the set. It wasn't this man being a workaholic, selfish workaholic. I think the granny knows the difference too. But
I think they didn't communicate properly, and that the dad was only doing, like, he was functioning out of necessity. Like, if you want a little bit of psychology in this, he was functioning out of necessity, and he knew that the way he could provide was monetarily. So he just clung to that, because if you're a person in crisis, you're just going to fix things the way you know how to fix things. Like, he doesn't have the tools or the capacity to expand further than that, and he doesn't have an outlet to expand further than that. So of course he's just going to keep like, well, if I work and I keep providing things, eventually everybody will love me, because that's what's always worked before. But clearly that hasn't always worked before, because he has an ex-wife.
I think no, you make a good point, and I think it was a societal thing as well, that
Yeah.
the guys, emotion is not part of it. It's all up here. Don't think with your heart, think with your head. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, do any of you know
societal.
Asian men?
I don't
Yes.
actually.
Yes.
Does anybody know how that whole region works?
Anyways, I was thinking like
Yes.
the Gilgamesh character, he even states earlier that dads get the short stick, or like they get all of the
Yeah.
depending on which version you read, like the dubbed one, he said that dads get the short stick, and in the subtitle version, I think it was something along the lines of, we have to do all the sacrificing and don't get
Yeah.
any of the praise. Like
Yeah.
this movie was
Yeah.
very directed towards like, why don't we honor dads more?
Because we're never
you're
honored.
absolutely
Like
right.
moms get all the credit, but we have to protect them. And it felt a little almost bitter.
Well, it's
to
because of all the
me,
memes that
but
are on the internet.
I have a
about
female
moms.
perspective, so maybe that's how it came across to me. I was like, it's almost bitter the way they talk about how dads and men in general have to respond to life.
That's because it's true. But speaking of hope, were any of you hoping for a zombie birth, and then that little zombie baby attacked the army so we could have a part 2?
I kept thinking
Yeah,
that
but
lady was going to have a baby.
When was the
We already
zombie
got
baby going to be born?
We already got that. We got that in the Dawn of the Dead remake.
You know, I just want to see the zombie baby. And
Dawn of the Dead remake. You've seen it. It's there.
yeah, but
Mackay
like I
Pfeiffer's
said,
kid is a
that
zombie.
movie sucked.
You know, pregnant lady did keep her purse all the way until the very end train.
She's
And I thought
clutching
that was
purse.
very impressive.
Probably because it had her husband's money in it, so she knew she couldn't let it go.
That's dirty, Chris.
Oh man! All right, so I think this is the
strong
point.
guy was like, I felt like we were talking about the turn time for big guy Gilgamesh and the main bad guy, I guess, the COO head honcho character. When I was watching it, I felt that that at the time that he got bit, that he was almost like a superhero anyway.
Yeah,
They gave him like that super cool slow motion like punch or whatever, like when he saved the lives at the beginning, and then like he's a legit badass in this movie, like a legit tough guy, like he's
How
a
we got the
brawler.
Gilgamesh part.
Yeah. I had and see, keep my eye. To me, this guy looks kind of doughy. So I was kind of like the whole time, like this guy's the movie tough guy, and I'd recognize him
dresser.
and other things. Absolutely. I was about to. I had that written down too.
It's
like,
hard to pull
sharp
off
dresser
that
for being a
navy
tough guy.
blue with the sky blue and
Oh,
everything.
he's
That was
good at
pretty
it.
cute. That was pretty cute.
yeah.
But and like he had like super speed as well. He was like chasing down the train at one point, and I was like, "There's no way this guy makes it." I mean, he's too doughy. But now that Adam tells me this guy's been like a personal trainer for Kevin Randleman.
By the way, I told you that.
Oh, well, you said the other one for the main character guy that he threw in these old MMA guys, and I'm like, what? Like,
Okay.
so that's kind of crazy to me. But yeah, being
Just
a
want
personal
to make
trainer,
sure
absolutely.
not being
you know,
mansplained my own facts here.
And then when he got bit, and I was like, it took him forever. I was like, oh, he is more human than human. He's like, yeah. And then
Can I
then
talk
the
about
seal.
that bite scene really quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I thought another detail that I liked about that film was like I'm constantly working in like machinery and stuff, and you know, when you're in the zone, you know you're not supposed to put your hand in this one spot because it might get pinched or cut or whatever. And that dude, he was trying to push that door closed, and I could see myself like instinctually just want to like grab the other side where their danger is, and that's when he got bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
You're like, why would you do that? That's so stupid. But then
No, I do it at
you'd
work
be
all
like,
the time.
obviously, that's why you would do that.
You do. So I don't know. I think this is the part where we rate it. Is that right? Do we give our ratings at this point?
Can I bring up a couple of things?
I mean, it's basically your show, so I
Oh.
guess. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
no, it's
I
your
wanna
show.
hear,
It's your movie. I had
wanna hear-
notes too.
I want to hear Andy
Okay.
talk.
What do you got?
Does Andy have things to say?
No.
I just want to talk about.
He says no.
I just want to
I'm,
talk
I'm
about
on,
how
I'm
cool
on
these
Team
zombies
Chris
are.
here. Where,
They're like,
I just want to talk about how cool these zombies are. I already talked about how like injuries matter with these zombies. I also want to say like we don't have to. I like the quick transition. Like we don't have to sit through that trope where one character has to hide their zombie infection and only to put the group in danger. I thought that was great. I also dug the fact that like what I hate about some zombie movies, one of the things that I hate about zombie movies is like the zombies want to eat people, but then like you would think that they want to eat them to completion, where in this movie the zombies, as soon as they get infected, they're moving on to the next target, like eating them for fuel or for the sake of eating. I feel like it doesn't apply to these zombies. They're just biting, they get infected, and then they're moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed no diversity in this movie whatsoever. All Koreans.
yeah.
I want to say I looked this up on IMDb, and the first say critique on it or review was a 9 out of 10, and it said there is no other movie like this, and they liked the different types of zombies. They weren't the regular slow, I'm walking with the limp type crap, and they said America does not make movies like this anymore. Hollywood is more concerned with making sure there is a black person, a Chinese person, a fat Melissa McCarthy / The Rock person, and so on and so on.
I hate this reviewer.
But he's accurate.
And it goes along with the way this whole group feels tired of The Rock and Melissa McCarthy in movies, and this guy writes this. And I said, oh, that's weird. And I just said I had to share that with you guys, that this person put those two names specifically in the review.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Because they would always throw a time in there like Dave Bautista. You know, like, they always, it is, man, that's, okay. I do appreciate that they didn't do, I know this is I'll get to them in my review.
I did have I wanted to point out 2 moments in the movie that stood out to me. And they were almost comedic. The first one was when the original they had like a bait and switch moment where we thought that, so the really rich asshole guy is like, we have an intruder on the plane, what is the train? It's a train. We're on a train. It's in the title of the movie. So they're on the train. He's like, there's some weirdo in the bathroom, and I think we need to. And I thought they were gonna put us right into the runaway girl, and it was the homeless guy. So I really liked that moment, and it was kind of funny. Also, it was really weird that they were just like, come in, little girl, and be in here with this homeless guy, and look at this craziness happen. And then the other moment was when the dad and the homeless guy were stuck in the seats waiting to escape the zombies into the next train. And he was like, ready, 1, 2, 3, go. And he crunched his foot on a can.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I definitely laughed out loud at that moment. Those were just like standout little moments that made this, like, just filled out this movie to me.
it definitely it's got a lot of little moments like that, and it's the can crunching thing. You're like, Jesus, what an idiot! Like you're laying down there, you don't know there's a fucking can at your feet. I mean, my God,
Man.
we've been through "Don't Make Noise" how many times? You don't check your feet, man. Good God! But no, it is pretty funny.
Okay.
Anybody else? Moments, thoughts, anything? What do you got?
Two
think we,
moments. My two favorite moments is the when they get to the first station and they're going down the escalators and they think they see the army men's boots, and then when they go into full view and they're all zombies. I thought that was a great moment. And then the train tip over scene where all the zombies are against it. I thought that was a fucking dope moment.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good, man.
That's cool to see.
I enjoyed it. Is somebody shaking their hand back there?
I think we unfairly labeled the
his
CEO.
elbow.
That guy could have been that CEO probably could have been the COO of like the Korean St. Jude's or maybe an old folks home, and that's why he wanted to get to his mother and make sure they're all okay. And then like he had to be an asshole. Somebody's got to be the asshole to
He was
make
CEO
sure shit
of
happens.
like Express, some Express like shipping company or something.
AliExpress.
But yeah, my
Like
scene
FedEx.
was the dad's death and him and his daughter connecting at the end finally. Even though he could have blamed it on her easily, he did not. But that scene was my scene that made this movie well worth it to watch.
My
That
favorite
moment.
scene was the train not opening the door scene. That really set the tone for every single character in that movie at that point. I mean, everybody. It was very well said that this is this is going on here. These are the types of people that are in here. Here's your characters, and this is them going forward. So and I just thought it was one of the like I said, tough decision scenes where like humanity really, really, really comes to the forefront. And the will to survive and all that mixed in there together. And nothing taken away from the end scene or whatever. I'm not a father, so it probably hits me a little differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
But the whole life flashing before your eyes thing, I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't moved like to tears or anything here, folks. But I was like, oh. That was probably maybe the
Is
sound.
that your sound of sympathy?
I can see how that could elicit an emotional response.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
boop boop boop.
also I am not a father, and so I didn't have like an extreme emotional response, but I was sympathetic and empathetic.
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, as I'm watching the movie, I did, like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, I get, I don't know, to put it into words, I was like, oh,
I was kind of like
yeah, good stuff.
genuinely disappointed that because of the homework assignment of being an emotional response, I expected to absolutely lose all control of my emotions at the end of this film or throughout it. And I was pleasantly surprised to have only kind of teared up a little.
I'm also surprised that she kind of teared up almost.
So like I went into it thinking this is going to be so heavy and I don't want to do this. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't bad. That's all reasonable. Yeah.
It's not overall. It's good, man. Like if it triggered something, it did. If it didn't, you got Joe over here even having the canned sigh. Like this was filmed before a live studio audience, and you get the look at him, he's back there.
What about ethnic kiss?
Ooh.
How about you, Mr. Mattis? Did you have any scene that grabbed your attention in particular?
No.
You had so little to say. I'm pretty.
Yeah.
All right. All good stuff. I think for me, those that haven't been mentioned, it was the bait and switch at the very end, because I'd written them off. They're getting shot. It's done. It's over. And then they didn't. So for me, that was probably my favorite of the ones that have not been mentioned yet. Because y'all brought some good ones too. So yeah, that's the movie, folks. That's it. That's all she wrote.
Bueno.
Cool.
So there we are.
So nobody
Here we
knew
are.
Taekwondo in this movie.
I kind of
was
expected
not-
them, like once they got to the tunnel, I was really glad that they made it.
It
Well,
kind of
yeah.
reminded me. I thought it was going to be they were going to get shot, but if you like, you ever watched the movie Get Out? The original ending for that movie was supposed to be he finally escapes that house and the cops come up and kill him. Was the original
Aw.
ending?
That
I
would have
thought it
been
would
so much worse. Or maybe worse in a good way. I'm not sure.
I thought it'd be something. I was like, oh, is it going to be
That movie
fun?
was
Those
freaky.
endings?
I almost picked that movie for when I had my pick. It felt too recent though.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
I liked your pick.
Do we need to
You gotta
talk
watch
about
out.
the social commentary of this movie?
What do you mean?
I mean, you can go that route if you want. You look at the train and look at the people on the train, and there's the caste system and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. And I'm sure
Nobody
that's a big
trusts their
theme.
government.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So you can definitely do it. I chose to not go that route,
Okay.
but you can if you want.
That's
I
fine.
just, me personally, I didn't dig it that way.
I don't think the story was about that. Like it was part of it, but I think the larger story was about, connection and family and all that other
Yeah.
romantic bullshit.
Yeah, all that meaningless crap. Yeah, all that stuff.
Sweet.
Good stuff, Man, tough crowd. Anyway, yeah. So for me, it's an 8. For me, it's an 8.
Oh, going into ratings?
Yeah, I thought we were.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're the
for me, it's a solid 8.
you're
You're
the train
leading it.
conductor.
You get to do whatever you want.
All right, then fine. It's ratings time, and I lead off with an 8.
You're driving this train. Good one, Adam.
Stuff.
So,
Silent humor.
You're on screen. So, Dog Zebra, what was your rating?
I'm gonna go with the 6. It's a good movie. I'll watch it again for sure. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna watch it again for a long time. Mostly because 1, I don't want to read a movie if I watch that version of it, and 2, I just don't see myself being on that app and then getting that deep into movies. I will tell you though that I'm becoming a fan of Korean film, kinda. Not like a fan like some weirdo or anything, but like the few things that people have recommended that I've watched have all been pretty good. Like that keep my interest and everything like that. Like this movie kept my interest. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was good. 8s are reserved for Tango and Cash. So
It's like I heard what you said and then I reheard it.
I don't know if I gave what I gave Tango and Cash, by the way, but I give this a 6. Like it's a movie that I like. I'll tell people about it. I doubt people will watch it just because I guess like the stigma of the foreign film being like cheese fests or whatever that people just don't like. No, this is a really solid movie. I like it. I'll watch it probably again in like 5 years, and it'll be like a brand new thing to me.
How about
those-
you, Mr. Mattis?
Yeah, I'll give it a 5.
Wow.
Honestly, I guess when I saw the movie poster and all, I was hoping more for like a disaster movie, given like the way the poster was. Like, I thought it was some kind of train crash and whatever happens, and like, it was some kind of survival disaster type thing. And then once I kind of got full into it being a zombie flick, I was pretty much checked out. I mean, do like the simplicity of like everything takes place on the train. You have that nice contained sandbox. That's always kind of a good plot device or storytelling mechanism. And I mean, it was well done, I guess. But yeah, between it being a zombie movie and then it was like fast zombies, like I was almost disappointed probably that everybody didn't die. So that's where I was.
I want to change my rating. I don't want to be 1 point against above that. Like that doesn't seem fair to the movie at all. By the way,
Well,
I just
five
want to
is
let
neutral, you know.
5 is not neutral with the way he just described this movie.
But it's all subjective, man. You do
5 is
you
a
do you.
scathing review.
You do you. It's subjective.
I would hate to be a 0 in Andy's movie. He just starts.
In my brain,
Murdering
5 is
people.
neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, then I want. Okay, I'll stick at 6. Damn it!
Fair enough.
It's better than
How about-
Andy's 5. I'll tell you that for
How about
sure.
you, Chris?
I'm going to give this one 7 Dixie cups. I told Adam before we got on that I will rate it fairly. I won't give it the 2 that it deserves because it's a zombie movie, but I'll rate it as
It's
the
not
quality,
a zombie
the
movie.
quality of the movie. Now, there were zombies in it. I don't know if you knew what those creatures were. Zombies. But as for a zombie movie, I liked it. You know, like I said, I hate Dawn of the Dead. I hate World War Z. And watching this movie again, well, I did, because as I, texted you guys, it was on the Mexican channel. And it was exactly the same. I don't know if they're speaking Korean or Mexican. I did make out some of the words. So I was like, all right, so there's no subtitles on this one, but I watched it. Kind of like I watched Under Siege when I was in Japan. It was on the Japanese channel. And I kind of knew what they were saying because I knew all the lines to that movie. But this one here, I said, okay, I watched it again. I liked it. But since I know that it's such a dramatic ending, it's not one of those movies I'll rewatch. Because when you have endings like that, it's kind of like back in The Sixth Sense. I see dead people. How many fucking times can you watch that movie and it like, have a Joe can sigh? Oh, he's
You get
dead.
that feeling one time, in a movie when you watch it. I know what you're saying. Like I've never seen Sixth Sense since the time I saw it in the theaters.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm not watching it again.
Because the big
I'll
reveal
agree
is
with
only
you.
fun once.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't
But-
chase that high over and over again.
It is. I'll agree with all of you on that, but I'll say that having kids, I've rewatched a lot of things that I said I never would just to see what their reaction is
Oh, that's
while
true.
watching. So
Yeah.
I would, with something like this, I would watch it with somebody who said, "Oh, I've never seen it," just to see how they reacted. If they reacted the same, or if they said this is trash.
Yeah.
Very
I
good
watched this
point.
one. I watched this one with my 16-year-old daughter, and right when she saw the buff guy, she said, "Oh, that's whatever Gargamel from whatever the show you guys said he was from."
Gilgamesh.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, okay." So she knew him right off the bat, and so I was like, "Okay, well, but she liked the movie too, and she thought it was going to go one way, and it didn't go that way, and I think she thought they would get killed at the end." Because I saw her face like going, "Oh no, no," as they're walking down the tunnel. And then like it ended and then she ran off to go to work. So, very decent. And like you, Adam, and Joe, I do like the Korean movies. Once I watched Parasite, somebody told me to watch that. I really enjoyed that movie. And I just said, oh, they make movies about big pieces of shit too. I think they're really no different than that. But yeah, I love
Watch
that movie.
Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer's dope.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'll watch these with no problem. I think the ones that your friends always talk about are like the ones from fucking France, But a lot of our movies are remakes of, shit from Italy or, those
Right.
So-
No, I agree.
But yeah, I think it's a solid 7 for me. Basing off the quality of the movie. Quality of the movie and the fact that the length of the movie was great. It just kept moving. I don't know if the train had something to do with it, but It just kept moving,
It-
and it was
no,
very easy to watch.
That's a great point. There's not a whole lot of dilly dallying. I mean, once it gets going, like, bad pun. Once the train leaves the station, it's on, and that's it, and it happens.
There's a
So I'd
timeline
say
like in a
that's-
buddy cop film.
Ah,
Sometimes I want to see zombie boobs. Not too many zombie boobs anywhere.
Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Boy
Let's throw it out
Scouts
there.
or Zombies versus Boy Scouts or whatever too is the other one.
Any
I'd
of
say that's
Zombievers?
pretty-
I never watched it.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a pretty solid review from a guy who hates the genre.
I do. It's run its course. I mean, can we get Gangs of Vampires back or something, and not Twilight them?
I guess, man. I mean,
Can we get like a fucking army of Frankensteins out here killing people or something? Let's get back to a different type of monster.
tried something like that with that I Frankenstein garbage, but whatever. So that leaves us with condition 1 and 3 there. How did you guys rate, or how do you rate it?
You first.
I do enjoy zombie films, and this was a pretty good one. It wasn't necessarily, the zombies were definitely like a background. Anyways, pacing was amazing. Like, it just kept rolling and rolling. It's a completely rewatchable movie because, you got, besides the beginning where they're developing the dad character, you go into the zombie outbreak. They got to figure it out, and then you're at the Dojan station number 1. And then, you could jump in there and you're like, oh, this is a good scene. And then you got the scene where they're going through from car 9 to car 13 and scooping everybody else. And then from there, you're at the second station. I mean, it's you could jump in at any time in this movie and you're in a great scene. The characters were fully fleshed out. You could get behind all of them. Amazing movie. After your guys' reviews, I was going to give it an 8, but now I'm giving it a solid 9. This is a 9 for me.
Oh,
Wow, that's up there, man.
that's pretty
9
cool.
Dixie cups.
9 Dixie cups.
All right. Well, I thought this was a pretty solid film. I have not watched a lot of Korean movies, so I think there are some cultural things in here that are very relevant and very important for sure. I don't think I would have never seek this out. I would have never sought this out, and I will probably never rewatch it, but I will recommend it. And I would watch it with someone who I think would enjoy it for sure. A lot like what you were saying, Herschel.
Yeah.
But because I think there is something to gather from this film. But for me personally, the motives of this film, it wasn't a zombie film to me at all. Like, the zombies were there as purely a plot device. It told a completely different story about a father and relationships and communication for me. And for that reason, it was a little too obvious for me with what they were talking about emotionally and mentally and those kinds of things. Those are things that I'm very familiar with. So I didn't really gain a lot from this film. So I would put this at a 6.5 because I think it was really good. But for me personally, I have no inkling to like go back to it. But I do think, like I said, like watching it with someone else would be good. And it's good to have this in my repertoire, I guess.
No, I could totally see, like, if it's on Pluto TV and it's just playing, I could definitely just jump in and just sit down and watch it. I think it's a totally rewatchable film for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely rewatchable. I'm agreeing with you on that, but I'm not gonna turn it on. Like, if it comes up on Pluto on like against an Office rerun or this, I'm gonna watch The Office probably. Like,
No, that's fair.
Same. That's in the camp
totally
that I'm
fair.
in. I'm on team condition
Yeah.
1 or 3, whichever one you are. I will never probably see it out again. But I would recommend it to other people. Like, oh, you like zombie movies? You should check this out. Or
Yeah.
even if you don't like zombie movies, you just like movies that like make you want to feel.
like
Joe?
it's just emotional enough and plays with these themes just enough that I think a layman of any kind can really get into it and get something out of it. Like it's a good general public, like pay attention to the people you care about film.
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
so my question for Joe and Andy: if there was a scene with a muscle-bound, shirtless saxophone player, would you watch this movie again?
Maybe.
If they had a scene like that, muscle-bound saxophone player just blowing that horn, would you rewatch it?
Like
I know
Lost
that's
Boys?
why. I know that's why you watch it. Watch Lost
You know,
Boys
I-
over.
Right?
I still believe I might do that. Yeah.
There's another bad
There's
one.
two saxophone players, shirtless, back shoulder blade.
You can
that I've
see that
watched.
guy if you watch the top 10 show on was it Access TV or something? He's one of the commentators on it.
The one thing that does not get talked about that guy, and it's the only thing other than the saxophone and the hair, is the pants. Nobody ever talks about the pants that he's wearing because they're absolutely WWE ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible.
I
I
wanted
guess
to.
back then it would have been WCW. Absolutely terrible. If I did my math correctly, that means we gave this a collective 6.9.
It was all over the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first movie that
But
was everywhere.
6.9 is a hilarious number, so cool.
It is because
It's
it's
the-
not really anything else.
It suits Seamen on Film perfectly.
It's
I would say so.
Well, now I feel kind of shitty on a review.
Why?
Should.
You
I
should
shouldn't have went. I shouldn't have
No.
went.
stay
I
true
shouldn't
to
have went
yourself.
second.
If you should get anything from this film,
Oh,
It's
good
like-
point. Good
What-
point.
God,
What-
Joe.
I
What
shouldn't
is-
go with the herd. I
what
should
is
keep
your
the door
revision?
shut.
What is your revision?
1 point
No,
more.
don't.
No.
I
It's
can
all
make it on
subjective.
1 point less if you want.
Oh, geez. I
It's-
really enjoyed how much hate this like Chris has given this film, just on a personal level for some reason.
Not me. Oh, because I was Andy's talking piece as well, as we
Yeah.
found out.
Well, yeah,
his
but
mouth-
I've enjoyed how much you didn't enjoy this film.
Well, let's keep the train moving. Let's go.
I
with
gave
this
it a
thing.
7 though.
Very well. So, since your homework had to do with your emotional connections or excuse me, movies that elicited an emotional response that you did not expect, does anybody want to go first?
I want to go last.
I'll let you bare your souls. All right, Dog Zebra, what do you got?
All right. These are just movies that at one point in time, like, gave me some sort of, like feelings that I didn't think I was going to have at any certain part of a movie. And it has nothing to do with anything like suppressed or anything. So shit.
He's like, don't read into this.
All right.
guys.
This is just
isn't
stuff
therapy."
that like, yeah, exactly. This isn't therapy. This is like stuff that either threw me for a loop or made me just feel either super sad or something else. I went with number one was My Girl.
Hey, man, you don't have to take that laughter, man. I mean, it could be.
It's
I
it's
just
on my
remember-
list.
Adam
I
is
remember-
agreeing.
I remember watching that movie when I was like 9 or 10 or something, and being like, "Oh no, like this is really sad." So, that was something that I mean, that was a super sad movie, by the way. So, whatever, dude. I understand you're like 14 years older than me, so I get it. You wouldn't watch it, but 9-year-old Joe in Paola, Kansas, in the living room was like devastated. I guess to counteract that, I have Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. There's a scene in there like John Candy comes clean,
Mhm.
and like has the real like down to earth with Steve Martin. I mean, the movie is hilarious
Yeah.
the whole time. I mean, it's a great movie, but that scene, I don't even like the first time I saw it, and still to this day when I watch it, I always get like I'm always like, man, that is. I don't know. It's just kind of sad. I don't cry or anything. I'm just saying that it's kind of it's kind of just sad.
I feel
That,
Hey, just so
Yeah, I
you know, it's okay if you do cry, Joe.
it was dusty that day. So that one always kind of gets me kind of dusty. Uh, and then I have Deliverance. And the reason that's on there is because I went into that movie the first time I ever watched it without I mean, and keep in mind, I watched it in probably 96 or 97 or something. Like I was a kid. It was on VHS and I had rented it. And I didn't, and I was young. I was probably like 10 or something, and didn't know the whole story. And my mom was like, "Yeah, watch Deliverance. It's crazy or something." So I watched it and was just like, "What the no, no, no." The scene in Deliverance, the untasteful rape scene, is. If you don't see it coming, you're just like, oh shit.
Oh, I'm glad I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. Then don't watch. Then I don't know, but it's
I have it
something
written
that.
down too, though, Joe.
Oh really? Because I mean, like it. When I first saw it, I was like, holy shit, this movie's gone this way. Like it's out of control. Then I have Requiem for a Dream. And the reason I have that is because I feel fucking filthy after watching it. Like I everything about everything is just a dirty, disgusting ending, and I don't know. Like I don't have any feelings actually. I think that's what that movie does to me. It makes me void of all feelings, and then that feeling makes me feel weird.
I'm gonna make a movie list out of all the movies you guys list, I think.
And then the fifth movie I have is Miracle.
Oh,
With Kurt Russell playing Coach Brooks. And let me tell you, I don't care. This isn't my favorite movie of all time. A lot of my friends say it is because I talk about it all the time, but it's not.
it's the best movie on the Disney Channel.
But it's, bro, it's on Disney Plus. Yeah. I've watched it there. This movie always gets me friggin' pumped.
When they're stand up. Yeah.
When he says, when he's like, when he says, when you find out the name on the front of the jersey means a whole hell of a lot more than the name on the back. And I'm just like, oh man. So that's my number 5. That's actually probably the movie that gets me the most anything kind of feelings out of any movie ever, because I just get so jazzed. And then like, do you believe in miracles? Yes. And sweet American victory over the Ruskies. So yeah, I always get pumped. So that's my 5 top or whatever picks.
Awesome.
That's a solid list, man. Thank you.
You could have picked
Thank
Red
you
Dawn for that.
sharing. So, I mean, hey, you could have picked Littlefoot and The Land Before Time, but you went with Miracle, and that's good, man.
Littlefoot is on my list.
All right, maybe.
Let's do your list.
No, I want to do mine last.
Okay.
I'm gonna match
You
your
want to
guys'.
go?
I've got like 20 movies, so
It's
Well,
only
whatever. Does any volunteers? Anybody?
I'll go then.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Raider Nation.
No problem. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna go. Also, I had My Girl on my list. The Beehive scene, Macaulay Culkin death. That fucked me up as a kid. That's like the first movie I remember as a kid that fucking fucked me up. Number 2, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, when the volcano is erupting and the Brontosaurus or Brachiosaurus is at the end of the pier and it has nowhere to go. Dude, that fucking scene devastates me every fucking time.
Aww.
I had to skip. I have to start the movie after that scene.
Oh my god. I'm learning so much, guys.
Oh, somebody's getting cuddles tonight.
I don't know. Have you guys seen 8-Bit Christmas? It's a pretty new movie, but I have dad issues. And if you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it because it's a nostalgia movie. Like if you grew up in the 80s, 90s.
You can spoil it. Go for it. I mean, I pre-spoil a lot of movies. Go for it.
The whole movie, you know, they're talking about his childhood, and his dad is always in the back building shit, but the kid is always in his own world and is just ignoring his dad. And then you find out at the end of the movie that he built him this badass treehouse, and then it flashes to present time, and his dad is gone. But you think the whole movie is setting up that the family is still together, but at the end of the movie, it just drops the bomb that his dad has passed away, and that shit was pretty.
It was their first Christmas without their dad, and they really missed his presence because, yeah, that was a hard one.
And then I'm gonna leave off with two not so sad ones. Number 4 is the beginning of Blade when he infiltrates the rave club, and I thought this is the greatest comic book movie like that. That turned a page for me in comic book movies, and I am a Marvel fan. So sorry, Chris, but I'm gonna bring up Marvel every chance I get. But Blade,
that was Herschel that made the Marvel remarks.
But Blade, the very first scene, and I'm like, game over, man. The game has done changed, and Marvel is here. Comic book movies are fucking great. And then number 5 is The Matrix. When they go through the lobby scene, I thought it was better than the bullet time scene, the lobby scene where they're just fucking killing everybody, and then they walk away from the lobby scene, and that little concrete thing just falls just casually at the end. Like I thought that was a great scene. So those are my 5.
They're good. I like them.
That's good.
I learned something new about Jurassic Park from you. That's cool.
There you go. Now you know how to get to him if you ever need to.
Oh, it's hard.
You've made yourself vulnerable.
Mhm.
So
I can go.
Go for it, man.
I did have Deliverance because Herschel came up with this list, so I thought he would want that on there. But
what I think is interesting, that's Ned Beatty's first movie. I just want to throw that out there.
Ned Beatty.
He's the one that got raped, if you didn't know.
Yeah, when the hillbillies were raping Ned Beatty, as a kid, I'm sitting there going like, "What's going on, Mom?" She's like, "Shut up." She like put her cigarette out on my forearm.
Watch that movie, and I remember just being
Why
like,
did you spill paint in the garage?
Yeah.
I just couldn't. She was. I mean, like it's a very, very good movie in general. That one scene is just like, oh shit.
It is. It's
So anyway, sorry to interrupt your list.
But I'm sure, like, if you haven't seen the movie,
it's so out of left field.
If you haven't seen the movie, you've heard references throughout time.
History about it. It's not like it came out yesterday.
Like you squeal like a pig, boy. Squeal like a pig. You've heard that in a million things. But I'll say in Glory, when Denzel is being whipped.
Yep.
When he's just staring at Matthew Broderick and he just has that single tear. I think that won him the Oscar right then and there. But that always bothers me when I watch it.
Great movie. Great movie.
Then I'll say my next one is a movie that I was forced to watch. It's called Midsummer or Midsommar. And
that was a crazy movie. Good movie.
The elder killing scene. I was like, it gave me an uneasy feeling. I don't know if you guys ever watch movies and just you have an uneasy feeling throughout the whole thing, and you don't like the way you feel afterwards.
Yeah,
you're just like, oh, I'm not watching that shit again. But that
like a Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, that whole then when you turn 72, you jump off the fucking cliff to kill yourself. But if you don't die, they bring in fucking Gallagher to smash your fucking melon.
Yeah.
To make sure you're dead. That kind of was weird to me.
Yeah.
I also want to say
Andy is not happy.
Any movie where a child gets hurt bothers me. Any killing, but In Sicario, when Benicio del Toro kills the family at the end, I was like a holy fuck type feeling there. As much as I like his character in that movie series, that's very bothersome that somebody can turn that cold. And then any military movie about any of the, if it's about any of the wars that we were involved in, it's hard for me to watch. I get emotional, and I met a guy in the Sacramento airport. He was missing a leg and an arm. And I don't know what I was wearing or how he knew. He just said, "Hey, are you in the military?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I did 20 years. I'm a retired chief." And he thanks me for my service. You know, and I'm like, "No, dude. Hey, no. I mean, thank you for your service." I mean, he's missing a leg and he's not. And it makes me like, say all of us, we're the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't have, you know, people, you know, we didn't get hit by roadside bombs and shit blown up. We don't have PTSD. So I always consider myself lucky. I left with my fingers, my toes. You know, I did 20 years. Herschel did 27.
Yeah.
You know, and all you guys did a tour. But
Yeah.
you know, we're all considered war veterans because we went to war. We went in that geographical area inside those lines of latitude, and we're all right. Anytime somebody could have hit us with a mine or a torpedo or whatever else they had from, you know.
Fishing boats.
So that always, it bothers me. But the one I was thinking about was Lone Survivor. And I guess when Axe was dying and he made amends with Marcus Luttrell, Mark Wahlberg's character, he said, "Hey, you just let my wife know I died with my brothers with a full heart."
Yeah.
And of course, Marcus's son is named Axe now. But when I was my last tour in the Navy, I was part of the TICOM material inspection team, and we inspected the Michael Murphy. And as you walk through that ship, they got his uniforms and stuff everywhere.
Oh.
Pictures of him, and it's kind of rough looking, like, you know, how this guy died. So it's more home. Like Vietnam movies don't really bother me as much as newer ones do. I say Platoon kind of does that for me, but any kind of military movie that's kind of with our era of war bothers me. And then my number one is American History X. When Danny is killed at the end, it was like the first movie where a movie ended the way it should have ended. No happy ending. It has to end. Somebody has to pay for what has been done. So it was like whenever he gets shot, it's like I jumped and I was like, holy fuck, you know. And I agree with Ed Norton and his rewriting of scripts. You know, he says, if I see a piece of trash, I'm going to fix it. And that was one of the movies, and I can't complain about that movie whatsoever. So American History X was one. I did have an honorable mention, though, Herschel.
What you got?
In Commando, when Sully is trying to pick up Ray Don Chong at the airport, and he's just like, you know, she's on the phone talking to some guy who's blowing her off. He's standing there going, "I'm mad at you." Just and he's clearly annoying her, and he follows her throughout the airport into the parking lot. He's like, "Hey," he goes, I got something to give to you." She's like, "I don't want it." He's like, "You don't know what you're missing." She goes, "It's probably a nightmare." And then he just goes, and when it's clear that she's not interested, he just goes, "You fucking whore." I bust out with laughter, uncontrollable laughter, because I know it's coming and I still can't control my laughter. I still have to laugh every time. Like if you know, what's the difference between a bitch and a whore? A bitch will, you know, a whore will sleep with anyone. A bitch sleeps with anyone except me.
Yeah.
But Stoli, every time he does that, I laugh. And then La Bamba, when his mother finds out that he died in the plane crash. You know. But American History X is my number one.
Well, I'd say that's a good one, and I think we've talked about that before. How that is one of the movies that ends exactly like it needed to. It has a perfect ending, because there's nothing good about the story, really.
No.
You know, I mean, he had to get raped by Big Gay Morrissey to find his humanity, and you know, he comes out, and yeah, it's a good one though, man. So I guess I guess I'll go. You brought up some more. I don't have them in any particular order, but you brought up some more movies. So I'll bring up one, and I saw it as a kid. My dad took me to see it back in the early '80s, and it bothered me a little back then. And then watching it again, it bothered me. And interestingly, I sat down with my son and watched it just a couple years ago, and it bothered him. So it's called Das Boot. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a German movie. It's about a German U-boat crew in World War II, and they go on patrol and they do all their things. And it's a terrible life. It's absolutely terrible. It's super realistic. They filmed it inside of a U-boat. I mean, it's super realistic. But they go through every ridiculous, not ridiculous, but every war thing, you know, getting depth charged, getting strafed, and they think they're all gonna die. And they get done with their patrol, and I'm sorry to ruin it for everybody. They make it back to their home base, only to everybody get wiped out in a British bombing raid. So they make it through their entire deployment. They make it through every terrible scenario to make it home and to die. And it bothered me. You know, I was like, Jesus Christ, what's the point? And that's the point of the movie. You know, war is pointless.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that my son, years and years and years later, he said the exact same. He goes, well, that was pointless. That sucks. Like the exact same thing I said, you know, when I watched it in the theater with my dad. You know, hey, you know, there you go. Another one that gets me, and I'm not a huge, you know, Chris has been to the house. He'll tell you, I make fun of my dogs all the time. But another one that gets me is I Am Legend. It got me. Oh my God, dude. I mean,
I almost put that on the list.
yeah, the dog kills itself, really, protecting him. And then he has to literally strangle the life out of this dog when they get home. And he's singing Bob Marley to it. And you know, there's a little undertone there because his daughter, right before she died, gave him that dog. So he's kind of killing what little memory he has of his daughter left. And that one gets me, even not really being a dog person, even though I'm a dog owner. That one gets me. Another one that got me, and I think it's interesting, it's when you see something, you know, at what point in your life you see something often, was The Force Awakens when that came out. And I went to the theater and saw it, and that was the year my dad died, and he died in October, and I went in the theater and saw that in December. And Han Solo was always my favorite character of every Star Wars thing. It was always Han Solo. I dressed up like him for Halloween. I had the blaster. I had the Millennium Falcon, everything. And I knew the actor Harrison Ford hated it and wanted to die early on, but he didn't, you know, because it pays the bills. And it's one of those things in movies, it's telegraphed. Like you see it coming a mile away. You see it coming a mile away. But then when it happened on the screen, like I checked out. Like I don't even think I remember what happened the last 15 minutes of the movie because I was done, you know. So that one got me. Another one that got me recently, and if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, I'll try not to ruin it, was Ghostbusters Afterlife. I went and saw it in the theater because I'm up here, I don't have a whole hell of a lot going on for me. You know, hard to believe with this face, I don't have a lot of friends. But the way they treated the Harold Ramis character, and you know, I'm sure there's some nostalgia for those of us that went to the movies and saw that one back in '84. But seeing everybody on the screen, I ain't gonna lie, man. I mean, there was 2 people in the theater, and I got a little misty watching it. So there's that. But I think the one that is probably the most embarrassing on the list is a movie from 2000 that if you've seen it, I'm going to call you a liar. It's with Madonna and Rupert Everett, and it's called The Next Best Thing. And it's a terrible movie. It's absolutely terrible. But it goes back to when you see something. So I was going through a divorce, and the movie is ridiculous. Rupert Everett is gay. and Madonna is his best friend, and they get drunk one night. They end up having sex. She gets pregnant, and they start to raise this kid together. But then she wants to get married and tries to shun him from the child's life, and he ends up fighting for this child to be in its life. And like I said, I was going through a divorce. I had a young daughter. I was living on the ship. I saw it at MacArthur Mall in freaking downtown Norfolk.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. When it was over, I ran out of the theater and couldn't get into my car fast enough, and I broke down. I absolutely broke down because it was everything that I was going through. It's a terrible movie. I don't recommend you watch it. If you have, I'm sorry, but yeah, man, that one got me. But it, like I said, a lot of it is not so much how good or bad the movie is. It's just where you're at, and you know what you put of yourself into it, I guess.
I've actually seen that movie.
Yeah, well, you don't want to. So
No, I've seen it. I remember
you
it very
did see it.
clearly
Oh,
because I was very young and I was like, Madonna was like this super cool icon. So I wanted to watch it. And my mom wanted to watch it. And I remember watching it and being like, wow, this is way more than I thought it was going to be.
And I don't even remember why I went to see it. I think it was one of those, I was at the mall and I'm like, I'm going to a movie because I got nothing else to do. What's the next thing starting? Okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But anyway, so all right.
That's your look, can we talk about your unhealthy obsession with Madonna? Not as us, like as young. Yeah, you. Herschel likes her music.
I did.
Is that a
Good artist.
problem?
She was a
All
good
her
artist.
CDs, you know.
I do.
We bought a Madonna CD in like Dubai, right?
Yeah.
At the Virgin Mega Store there. And,
Confessions on the dance floor. Yeah, I sure did. It
was a decent.
no,
one.
I know what you're talking about. I felt that way when I watched Larry Crown for the first time. I was getting ready to retire from the military, and you remember my retirement ceremony was on my 38th birthday, and the day before was the finalization of my divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a job, so I went through everything that Tom Hanks went through in that movie, except I didn't end up with Julia Roberts. So here I am, still alone. No Julia Roberts, but still a good movie. It gets to me in some parts.
It is. Yeah. So yeah, unhealthy Madonna obsessions aside. So who does that leave? That leaves Mr.
Andy?
Mattis.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go first?
All right. Yeah. So I mean, I came up with the last two while you guys were figuring this out because I had to kind of get a gauge of,
Oh, you turd.
where what really kind of made sense or resonated in this thing, because a lot of times I'm pretty, I don't know, face value, I guess, I don't know. But I mean, the first one that kind of hit me, that gave me kind of like a unexpected emotional response, was Midway. Just kind of thinking about the type of, the greatest generation, more or less, look at that era of man and everything else, and kind of the way things were, and like watching like the Pearl Harbor scene and everything else, like it's pretty, it's a different caliber of man in the military at that time, and just kind of, in life in general. And that kind of really gave me like a weird perspective and really kind of made me think about things. So that one kind of threw me off. Next one was Black Hawk Down, was kind of odd for me. Like at first, like watching it, like was pretty like gung ho, like G.I. Joe about it. And then kind of as like they start eating shit, I kind of like start getting like second thoughts about everything. And just kind of like a weird, like the reality of war, I guess, kind of hits you kind of seeing it from that perspective. So it's like, you know, there's
Like,
always that
naval
scenario where you
bases.
could eat shit.
They showed that movie on like naval bases like weeks before it came out. Like I saw it, like a special sneak preview like 2 weeks before, and I'm watching it and like, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like I
I
was
went
like,
to go see it at Gurney Mills with one of my boot camp buddies or whatever. Like we were in tech corps together, but I
yeah,
remember going to see it. Yeah.
yeah. I went to like some packed theater on base, and they were showing it on like the big screen deal, and it
Yeah.
was like 2 weeks, and I was like, you know, everybody in there was like, hell yeah, locked and loaded,
Yeah.
and I got over with. I was like, ugh.
Right. Yeah. And to watch when I saw that in the theaters, like I was completely broken at the end of that. Like it took me like a half hour to get myself
Oh, that was
together.
the cops, right?
hmm
You know, so that one like just hit me
Shit, yeah,
pretty heavy.
one.
Tusk is the next one. That one like was completely like disgusted with that movie, like in every possible way. Like I was like dirty, like I did not like it. Yeah, so that happened. And
Why would I do this to myself? Why did I? This whole thing it was, yeah, and everything about it like left me feeling kind of grimy.
yeah,
So, are you talking about at the end, whenever they gave him a fish and you can see the tear?
just kind of the
what you're
whole thing
talking
in
about?
general. I was like, this was you know, I was like kind of excited because of the whole thing we were supposed to get. Like I'm still waiting for Moose Jaws in that
Yeah.
Kevin Smith trilogy, but Yoga Hosers was much more entertaining than this was. But yeah, so there's that, and then kind of playing up like Herschel said with the next best thing. The movie that just kind of really hit me because of where I was at was when I was doing my old movie show podcast. We were watching Eternal Sunshine and the Spotless Mind, and that was like what I was dealing with at that moment. So like I couldn't even really make it through it. It was just too much. So that's my 5.
Good ones.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, I got music in the background, and as soon as you started, T'Pau Heart and Soul came on, and it was like perfect. That was what was playing in the background. It was like perfect.
That's funny.
Absolutely perfect. All right.
Okay.
So I think that leaves us with just one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to start with a more lighthearted one because all of mine are pretty sad. But my first ever movie theater experience, I was 6 years old and I saw The Lion King. And I remember yelling at the screen at the fight between Mufasa or Simba and Scar, and cheering on Simba to kill Scar or like defeat him. So that's my first big movie moment ever. And I just remember being like, yeah, get him, like tiny little 6-year-old girl just losing her shit in the movie theater. And then I'll jump all the way to my most recent extremely emotional response, which was the Last Duel, which it's a pretty new movie, but like that movie, I felt like it was moving so slowly that it really set me up, because you go through one dude's version of the story, then you go to second dude's version of the story, and then you go through the lady's version of the story. And by the time we got to the lady's version of the story, I just couldn't handle it anymore. Adam was with me. I had to stop the movie and like walk away. It was too much.
Yes.
It was way too much. And I was like triggered way too many things. So yeah, that's a pretty messed up movie. And then I have I wanted to pick something military. I have so many. But so I picked American Sniper with Bradley Cooper. I really liked that film because it showed in a very realistic way what happens to service members and to what happens with their families and how they cope with the two different worlds and PTSD and all of that. It felt very true to me from other people that I've talked with that have actually been to Iraq and done that kind of service. So that one really stuck with me. And then I have Beaches.
The Bette Midler movie?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the first movie I remember like not fully grasping because I watched it too young with my mom, and my mom was losing her shit a little bit. She was sobbing. So I remember rewatching it because I knew my mom loved it. So I rewatched it as an adult, and then I understood. And so for me, that was like a connection, not just with the movie, but also with my mom. How many did I list? 1, 2, 3. And then I have Fern Gully.
The Last Rainforest.
I loved Fern Gully so much. It inspired me when I was the littlest kid to start. I called myself a tree hugger. Like, I was just a weird kid, I guess. I don't know. I remember talking to my 4th grade teacher about it and like, what does it actually mean to be a tree hugger? And it was hilarious. So it did, like, that movie scared me. I remember being like afraid of like Nexus, the smoke monster, smog pollution guy, and all this other stuff. But also it instilled me a respect for nature and thinking about how my interactions affect other things, and it kind of in a silly way set in motion a lot of how I thought about the world. Was that 5?
I think it's 4.
Okay, I got one more.
That is 4.
Pay It Forward, because I thought that was just a beautiful way and probably the only way to live life, like thinking if I do a good thing, somebody else is going to return that good thing. Like if you put good things out into the world, you're going to get good things moving. It might not always come back to you immediately, but you are just a small part of the world. And so in the bigger picture, it matters that you were kind. And I remember that really hitting home for me.
Those are the people who die or young, are the nice ones.
I mean, if we relate it to Train of Busan, probably not.
Fair enough.
So those are my movies.
You got through all 5, and you didn't get Misty not once. So there you go.
I kind of sped through them. And I've got a list of like 17. So if you guys want some honorable mentions later, I can give them to you, but
you share whatever you want to share.
maybe in the message chat later.
Speaking of the Lion King, in Scar's defense, his parents didn't like him by naming him Scar in the first place, so he was kind of the outcast from the beginning.
Like it's not
So
really
it-
fair.
Or his dad was a badass.
Yeah.
That doesn't justify him outcasting his nephew. And
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree.
like
He
just
had the
because bad
choice.
things were done to you doesn't mean you're allowed to do bad things to others.
I know, we just heard you talk about paying it forward.
Yeah. You're so grumpy sounding.
We just heard about
It's
that.
the poor Scar. Nobody looks at it from him and Johnny Lawrence have just gotten a bad rap.
Separate creatures. You got to look at them separately.
Oh my goodness. gracious.
We got some
Man, I thought
ethos,
that was a fun
guys.
thing,
Can we
though.
move it along?
I
Yeah.
thought it was fun looking at that feelings.
Hey, you know what?
I'm happy that you guys had fun doing that.
We've all got them. We've all got them. So I think the only thing left is the recasting piece.
Oh yeah.
And I'll screw it. I'll go ahead and go. I know everybody. I came to this group late, so I'm sorry. I know there's this Carl Urban thing. You know, however you guys arrived at that. So I placed him as the nasty businessman. So I only did three. And so for dad character, I put Tom Hardy in there because I figured he could probably pull that off. Emotionally vapid, but then he gets there. And then I recast Stocky Guy as Idris Elba because I really like him. I like him a lot. And I think he could pull that off. I think he could pull that character off. So those are the three that I did. Anybody want to go next? I'm all inclusive.
Okay with that? All right. To replace the dad character, I picked possibly one of the best dads in TV history, Ty Burrell from Modern Family.
I wasn't sure which dad you were going with.
I think he's a really good dad, and I think he's the right age to play this dad character.
You typecasting.
He's a zombie alum.
Yeah,
Zombie film alum.
He was in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
To replace Stocky Guy Gilgamesh, I picked Winston Duke, who played M'Baku in Black Panther, Man-Ape.
Oh yeah.
And mostly because he's kind of super thick and might maybe not look so intimidating when you're wearing a suit, but it turns out he is kind of a strong guy. And then for the dickhead COO, I picked Eric Roberts.
Oh yeah.
That guy always has the look of like just being like a gigantic a-hole. So I picked that to be him. And then with Carl Urban, just because I had a hard time trying to figure out any other character that I really wanted to recast or whatever, but I just put him as the hobo.
Yeah.
Let him just be kind of grimy and come in handy once or twice. I mean, he's not doing it for a paycheck. It's just a passion project for Carl Urban.
Yeah.
A Korean zombie movie.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mattis, what do you got for us?
Sure. So I kept it Korean mostly, minus Carl Urban. So for the dad character, I went with I guess he was the dad of the nice family in Parasite or whatever the rich family guy. So I recasted him as the dad here. The angry businessman guy, I went with the dad from the shitty family, the Parasite family. And then for the stocky guy, I went with Benedict Wong. So it was at least somebody we recognized, even though I guess everybody's seen a bunch of Korean films.
They're
And
pretty
then
similarly built.
And then I also went with Carl Urban as the homeless guy. So I figured that was great. He'd just be kind of.
Was he a homeless person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He looked.
And he just lived outside of that facility and was like, "I've seen things, man. Get me on this train."
That's why he's billed as the homeless man.
Yeah.
Oh, is he
lived
billed
at
as that too? I didn't even look at the credits.
Yeah.
I just figured he might have been just a guy that was like got dirty while escaping really fast zombies.
Maybe.
At first,
Yeah.
I
He
thought
probably-
he was maybe the guy who was creating those the animals at the beginning, and he escaped that somehow. And then I was like, "That's not right."
Every train station has hobos.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's just a train station hobo. All right, all right, all right.
All right, Mr. Chris, you're up.
All right. So I recast the little girl Suwon with Faith Herman. She's the little girl, and This Is Us. She's also my friend's daughter. So any work I can get from an old shipmate's daughter, She played Darla Dudley in Shazam, and she plays Annie Pearson in This Is Us. Always willing to promote her. So for the father, I put Carl Urban. I think he could pull off a range of emotions.
Very bold.
Yep.
And then the guy with the pregnant wife, Gigamesh, I put Will Smith. Willing to do anything, whatever. It doesn't matter what it cost him for his wife that doesn't like the situation she's in. So I thought he would fit that. And then the businessman, the dickhead COO, I put Paul Giamatti. Hopefully he would play it in the same vein as he did in Private Parts.
Pig vomit.
That's a very bold cast.
All right. Well, you two are rounding it out. So whichever of you two wishes to go first, then.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll just go.
Oh, it's no fun.
For the daughter, I chose Kaylee Fleming, which is the daughter on Walking Dead, Judith Grimes. Carl Urban, I just straight up put him in as Gilgamesh's character. The homeless man, I casted as Jason Mantzoukas. I typecasted him. And then for the COO, I chose Andy Serkis.
Sure. Pretty solid.
That's 2 movies in a row we put Mantzoukas in.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's very underrated. Needs to be in more stuff.
Yeah.
Funny Dave.
Okay, so my cast, I did Claudia Kim as the pregnant lady. I know her as Nagini from the Crimes of Grindelwald movies. And
What
then
movie?
The Crimes of Grindelwald, it's Harry Potter's world stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the newer ones. And then I picked Ki Hong Lee from The Maze Runner as the baseball kid. And I picked Stephen Yeun as the dad. I cast everything as Korean Americans because I just couldn't see the film in any other way.
Sure.
And then I put Carl Urban as the conductor.
Ooh, nice.
That's a good one.
I like recast everybody.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
At a honorable mention is the pregnant lady as Mina Kimes. Or Mina Himes. What's her last name?
I don't know.
Times. Is she an actress?
No.
She's just a sportscaster.
Yeah.
But she's on TV, so.
Fair. Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I greatly appreciate your going through this emotional journey that is Train to Busan. So thus ends my my hosting duties. Other than the fact that I think there's 2 things left. One is you have to spin the wheel for the next pick, and then
And
And
the new
announcement
movie
of-
is to be announced.
Yeah.
And these
to give
announced.
a movie pick.
Yes.
I think.
Do you want to do the movie pick first?
Let's do the movie pick first.
Okay.
Okay.
So next month, you guys will be watching as I had the 90s free for all.
Yay.
Oh.
I decided to lighten the mood
Mhm.
and go completely kind of out of the box. Well, not completely out of the box, but out of our normal wheelhouse, and went rom-com and said, you know what, let's go Wedding Singer.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Rom-coms are my Chris's zombie films.
Yeah.
I'm going to hate watching this without him.
Yes. I'm gonna struggle.
And
So Adam,
And I'm not a
Sorry.
huge Adam Sandler fan, so this is terrible. We're going to
we know you have terrible taste. We
I
get
know,
that.
I know. Terrible taste.
So Adam,
Yeah.
did you like the movie Isn't It Romantic?
Never seen it.
Never.
Is she? What's her name? Rebel Wilson hates rom-coms.
I don't like Rebel Wilson.
It's
Oh
her and
my
Adam.
God.
It's her and Adam Devine, and
Sounds terrible already.
Adam doesn't like women actresses that aren't like beautiful and try to be funny.
she is beautiful.
I'm actually hurt. Like she's my one, man.
Oh, yeah.
Rebel Wilson's the one. Hey, you can ask Patrice. I have that movie poster. Isn't it romantic? I'm just waiting to frame it and put it in the right spot. I'm not kidding.
Right.
I
It's
totally
for-
believe you.
I'm gonna watch
It's-
it now.
It's
That was like right before she lost all the weight or whatever.
Look,
Yeah.
my wheelhouse is the movie budget as close to $1 billion as you can get. That's my wheelhouse. That's the movies I want to see.
Your wheelhouse is summer blockbusters.
His
our
wheelhouse
top
is
five-
this big.
Yeah. The top 5 for the Wedding Singer will be top 5 musician cameos.
Musician cameos. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't necessarily have to be like in, a cameo in a performing role. Like
Yeah,
they can
yeah.
just be a musician that's in a movie.
because that does have a great one.
It does.
With Billy Idol. That's a great one.
Yes.
Can you guys see this?
I can.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, I forget.
Oh, I just thought of a musician cameo I loved.
Great. I just watched Wedding Singer like 2 days ago. So.
Yeah. I have it on DVD. It's on HBO Max, and you could get it on Amazon.
Oh, who's after Andy?
It's Sabrina.
That's true. It is
It's me.
All right,
the wife.
here we go.
Hopefully, she gets horror again for no reason.
God. Just want something that's not.
It is comedy. All right.
That should be fun to pick.
Oh, I'm gonna help you, and I'm gonna
No, you're not. I'm gonna. If
I'm
you
not-
suggest something to me, I'm gonna completely throw it out the
something
window.
that
Yeah.
Chris is gonna
No.
hate.
If she didn't like just one of the guys, she's going to make a bad choice for this one.
Yeah, I know, right?
Not like
She-
just one of the guys. You just didn't like that I could be critical of it.
There's nothing to be critical about. Herschel, back me up here.
I thought
No,
it was a fun movie.
Hey,
That's-
no, you
Great
picked a great movie last time, so I have faith.
Thank
I
you.
don't think I was here for her pick last time, or was I? What did she pick?
Better watch out.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that
was-
yeah. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Santa Claus. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well, all right, guys. We'll see you guys next month.
All right.
All right.
3 weeks, really.